Welcome to the Alchemy of Transformation podcast.
I'm Anouk, a transformational coach, multidisciplinary artist, speaker, and teacher.
And I'm Elijah, a multidimensional coach, a transformational artist, speaker, and teacher.
We are two source workers deeply connected with our cosmic origins. We are all about incarnating our higher purpose into our lives and helping others do the same.
In our discussions, we will share our favorite pieces of wisdom and tools that we personally use to stay aligned and get the best out of ourselves.
We hope that you are as excited as we are to deeply explore the mysteries of the multiverse.
Are you ready?
Let's dive.
Hey.
Hi, Elijah.
Hi, Anouk. Welcome,
Doing?
everybody. We are so excited to do this first recording of the Alchemy of Transformation, the art of embracing your whole self. The whole self, all of the aspects, all of who you are on so many different levels. There's so much to cover. And so this podcast is very much about everything related to consciousness, the emotion, the body, balancing all of these forces internally to bring us to a higher, to a happier place, a more empowered place, a more connected place. And we love these conversations. And we know that a lot of people want to hear about that kind of stuff, want to be familiar with this stuff, want to have a conversation with their buzz buddy about that stuff. So we thought we could share them. And hopefully you'll get beautiful nuggets for yourself. And yeah, because that's our intention. So Anouk, I am very eager to know a little bit about where you are physically. I just want people to know where you are physically.
Yeah, I had a little lag in my connection, so I lost a little bit of what you said. But I'm sure you gave like pretty good context of our intentions. Um, I am physically in Nelson, BC. I moved here a couple of months ago. And yeah, in that life transition, figuring out what will be my next community. I am part of this community, but I'm looking for somewhere to take roots, like deep roots, and I'm just taking my time to see where it will be.
Yeah, that's very empowering. You moved to BC within the last 4 or 5 months. Before you were in Quebec, where I am. I am in the province of Quebec. Sometimes in the country, sometimes in the city of Montreal, generally in the country. And yeah, you were in Montreal just before. So we used to have a lot of these conversations in person and sometimes on the phone, but now they're online, which is perfect because then we can record them more easily.
Mhm. Yeah, time and space don't exist, right? So, are there illusion? So, yeah,
Breaking the illusion.
yeah, we're still able to have those wonderful conversations.
Yay.
Hmm.
So, you guys listening to us, we thought it'd be a great beginning to at least introduce who we are. And so we want to welcome you into our little worlds. Actually, big worlds, probably depends on who's looking from where.
Mhm. Mm.
But so yeah, you're comfortable with me starting, Anouk?
Totally. Please share with us who you are and a little bit of your background.
Thanks. And thank you for, cutting in, Anouk. If you see things you want to reflect or highlight, you also know me. So
Totally.
uh, come on in. So yeah, everybody, I'm a little nervous to share about myself. I've had so many changes. Not share about myself, but share who I am. How do I present myself to you when I've been through so many different changes in the last weeks, months, years? It's been quite a ride, and I know that's been quite a ride for most of us. So hopefully, maybe you'll see some of yourself in what I say. But right now, how I stand with who I am is a human being who has had the chance to really go inside a lot and test and confirm that I am a multidimensional being, accessing this plane here on Earth and accessing the human understanding of what it's like to be human, but also connecting with beings that are not necessarily incarnate. Yes, sometimes it's the dead people, but sometimes it is higher guides, and sometimes it is actually beings from higher dimensions who have exquisite information for us. And through the process of becoming a person who can connect to all of this, I've had to die a lot, let go of aspects of myself. And so that's why it's confusing sometimes to present myself, because to really honor who I've become and to honor who I was, sometimes I'm not sure where to put which piece. So this is who I am today. But just to give you a bit of a background, I'm of parents from both France and Quebec, and I grew up on both continents. I parle français tout aussi bien que je parle English. And también un poco de español. um, so, yeah, I've traveled a lot, and I grew up in France, and then I went to Toronto, and eventually I went to French countries and Spanish countries, and I traveled the world always in this quest of experiencing what it's like to be in this body as a spiritual being, on these beautiful freaking planets, really in love with the planet Earth. And side note, I married the earth when I was 26. I had a ceremony and I invited my friends and families. We were like 20 people, 30 people. And I publicly announced my deep commitment to this planet, who is this gorgeous consciousness evolving. And I am deeply in love with her form, her shapes, her diversity, deeply moved. Like I can cry so easily at the sight of her hills and her curves, her holes, her her creations, her trees, her flowers. But anyway, I am deeply in love with Gaia. And yeah, I've seen a lot of the planet, visiting her and learning as much of spiritual stuff and permaculture and gardening and how to care for her physically, how to be in an understanding that it's a human, it's a living being. It's not an object, fragmented. It's not a tree. It's not field. It's all interconnected, and that interconnection is what creates life. And to focus too much on the fragments of each piece of is a bit dangerous. It is great to organize and plan and execute and move along through technology, but we need to go through it through feeling connected. And I guess that's been my big quest. And sometimes in my life, I have felt unconnected. When I was a child, I had a schizophrenic mother and an absent father. And it really created a lot of internal realms where the ambiguity between connected and disconnected, was really strong. And so I've developed a lot of self-sufficiency, but I also developed mechanisms um, that disconnected to who I was in a deeper level and traumatic states. So a lot of my life has been, I, being myself, being this person who was in this traumatic space of like, I must heal my mom, I must heal the earth, I must heal everybody, I must understand consciousness. In this frantic current, I learned so much about yoga and the breath and the diet, and on so many different levels, I studied what can make us well. Until a few years ago, I guess my second, it's not, in my transition between my 30s to my 40s, it's been a huge transformation of realignments and really seeing that this running around is based from a mechanism of survival. And it's not coming from a place of deep expansion. And so it's like my oversoul did some huge work, my guides, everything in my life became about this transformation, whether I wanted it or not. And I had to go see the deep limiting beliefs that kept me small, that kept me feeling unworthy, and to do such a huge work that I felt that personality died. It felt like that personality truly died and something else came in. And it was really powerful. It certainly created a lot of change in who I present myself to the world, how I can make money, what's my priority and how I show up or not. I've realized maybe I don't need to show up, a lot less pressure. So that when I do show up, I'm way more aligned and authentic, hopefully. And so, I told you a lot about my internal processes, but in the external, I became a massage therapist in different trades. I learned different energy healing practices. And so all of my 30s and a bit before has been focused on having clients and working one-on-one and creating a lot of time transformation more in the body, but for those who were open, a deeper transformation in the astral, in the spiritual, covering spiritual practices and breathing and anchoring and empowering and owning yourself, allowing your emotions to be a messenger, and how to be really within yourself to empower yourself. So one of my biggest transformation is that the one-on-one is fantastic, but I want to touch a bigger audience. We are already so many of us, I should say, so many of us are on that edge of deeper transformation where we have to go inside to make that transformation. And one-on-one is powerful, and I'm still doing some of that, but I really want to touch a bigger digital audience. So I'm so happy to have this conversation with Anouk online. So that's one way to get to your ears. It's one way to support you on your inner journey, whoever you are listening right now. And yeah, my whole heart is here. My whole soul is here. I'm scared as shit, but I'm more courageous than I am scared. So let's keep going in this cycle of growth. I think that's a good little round for who I am. Maybe I'll just add in just so you know. I express myself as a non-binary. I express myself as a messenger of source, and I love all expressions. I love all bodies. So I'm could consider myself part of the LGBTQ community. But I do consider myself more of the starseed community where gender is really a joke, I think. Gender is really a human 3D experience. We can play with it, do whatever we want with it, maybe a 4D experience too. But anyway, this is a language that might not make sense to some of you. So when I say D, I mean dimension or density. Like a 3D density means like the material world where we're in the body and we have systems, we have cars, we have like it's more of a human organization as opposed to a spiritual organization. I'm done. There's probably more to say, but it's time to meet Anouk, this
Mhm.
beautiful being. I
I would
love Anouk so much.
I would just add that thank you. I really liked how you opened your presentation, because as we're soul being, star being who took a human form, and we came here to live, experience, and contribute to the expansion of the multiverse, um, we are never the same. Each minute, each second is a new way of experiencing life and experiencing ourselves. So it can be hard to seize or have a very defined way of perceiving ourselves when we are in constant motion. And yeah, we experience life through cycles, and the cycles of life um, cause us to die. Some part of us die in order to be reborn. So yeah, thank you for bringing those subtleties in the conversation.
Subtleties.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I am French speaking, as you probably already noticed. So I might, in our conversation, ask some cues from Elijah in order to have the good words.
Which I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so about myself, I was born in Quebec, in a middle class family. I would describe myself as a hypersensitive being. I will probably share more about my own transformation journey, but through like a lot of healing work, I came to the understanding that I as I was in my mother womb, I just picked up on my transgenerational traumas, and I was born like with this fear of not being enough, and this fear that the world was a dangerous place and that I didn't have the right to be myself because this world was dangerous. Basically, I never allowed my mother to carry me, like um, me bercer, like to what's the word?
Yeah, hold you, cradle you.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about this. There's like this paradox of the fear of separation. We want to be connected. We are innately called to be connected with the whole, with the energy of the mother, and at the same time, there's this fear of danger and this lack of like safety that makes us separate ourselves. So I grew up um, with this belief that I had to figure it out myself because the world was dangerous. And then I came um, to this transformation process, to this healing process, and I deconstructed all my perception about this world and about life and about myself. And it's how I could reconnect with my sensitivity and with my essence. So it's a big part of my story. And as a professional, I can also relate with what you've shared about being of service from an authentic place. Um, and it's a little bit why I shared about my limiting belief about separation, because my coping mechanism my whole life was basically um, to think that I had to give in order to be worthy to receive. So there's definitely this spontaneous, this innate desire to contribute and to be of service. But I had it wrong in a way because I was attaching my value to what I was giving. And it was what was that? It was a yeah, a big part of my healing process to just let go of that belief and reconnect with my source of joy and my source of vitality, and reconnect with my innate value and to the fact that I don't have to do anything in order to have value and be worthy of love and receiving. So in the past few years, that there was this major shift in my way of showing up in the world. And it's been related intimately to also a reconnection with my spirituality and the invisible realm. um, so yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. I want to hear more about your professional adventure, if I may, like your journey. You've
Mhm,
touched a lot of different things. You've touched a lot of different audiences. That's,
mhm.
you know, brought you to a certain place of where you're at now. I'd love for you to share about that because
Yeah, I've started from this place of non-authentic service, as like already shared. So I've been a psychosocial worker, to use like that broad like term. So I worked a lot with all kind of population. Um, I worked with kids. I worked with marginalized teenagers.
youth.
Yeah. I worked with young adults as well, with all kind of issues. Can be abuse of substances. I also work to help people to find jobs, employment, reinsertion. um yeah, like all kind of different psychosocial work in general. And then I just came to realize that it was hard for me to show up from an authentic place in those work, because the service part and the like wholehearted connection part was feeding my soul, but the institutional patterns and rules and like rigid frames were very like unaligned with me. So I just came to that point where I realized that I had to make my own way in this world and create a container in which I could be of service, but from this authentic place. So it's how I came to start my coaching business. Mm.
And a part of all of this too is through the arts.
Mhm.
You've used the art through your psychosocial work, and you've used the art for your own development and inner work, and now you are aligning to be really empowering other people to do art as a transformational inner work.
Mhm. Yeah, it's one of the tools I use. We'll like get more in depth into this in further conversations. But yeah, art is definitely a big part of myself. I am a creator, as we all are, and to me art is like this beautiful analogy of our capacity to create. And it's a need, right? We all need to create. It can be through art, but our lives are um like our masterpiece, right? So yeah, there's an interesting analogy to make between how we approach creative arts and how we approach life. So I have this um, um, uh, art practice for myself, and I also use art as a transformation tool for myself and for the people I serve. Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, earlier today you showed me through Zoom your latest painting, which is, from what I understand, somebody, c'est une commande de quelqu'un, somebody asked you to do this. This beautiful woman with the two whales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it wasn't a an order.
it wasn't yeah,
It,
okay.
it was probably an order from my higher self, right? But yeah, no, it was a vision that I had when I had this journey of reconnecting with my spiritual being, and how I also reconnected with the divine feminine. So yeah, it's about our connection to nature, to our feminine energy, and to the whole.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just now I was like, oh, how can we share this image with our listeners? And I was like, oh, maybe it's the image of our podcast.
It could be. Uh-huh.
No pressure, no pressure. But you guys, hopefully, you'll be able to see Anouk's art because it's really beautiful. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Maybe in the direction that, excuse me, in the description of this podcast, we'll put a link for our websites and stuff, so you'll be able to see a bit of what we do. But definitely look at Anouk's art; it's gorgeous.
Mhm. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I love transformation. You know, my pleasure. And I love you're very beautiful and graceful in everything that you do. It's something that's very important to your how you express your essence. And there's a part of me that's a bit envious with your ease. Of course, it's not that easy. You've practiced and practiced and practiced, but like me, I love transformational art, and I do it when I need transformation, and I love creating images, but creating it to be with a fine line and a beautiful smudge. Or like me, it's very raw. It's like it's an expression of my emotion, and it's okay. It's just now it's quick and it's moving energy,
Mhm.
and I love that about me. But our society expects such a high level of aestheticism sometimes, of beauty, that I feel shy about sharing my stuff. But I am no more shy, no longer. All of our art of transformation is worth to be seen. Woo!
Mhm.
But
And
yeah, what you do, makes me a little jealous.
I appreciate your self-awareness, but it makes me think that um like creation is mostly about the process, and yeah, we surely live in a world where we like are attached to the results, and there's this like um perfectionist part of ourselves that want to be worthy and want to be recognized, so we're, yeah, pretty much attached to the results. But the most important part of creation is enjoying the the journey and the making of it. So it's why uh like art as a transformation tool is interesting.
Yeah, so much so. We can perhaps give ourselves the permission to be sometimes messy.
Completely.
Mm, yeah. Earlier, I don't know if we want to bring this in, but you were talking about that space between, in our practice of healing or self-transformation, there's like this aspect that can be in action. We can call it more like masculine, that is more in the I'm going to do this in structure and execute, as opposed to be more in the welcoming and accepting and receiving, which is a bit more of a feminine aspect in the universe. And in the process of self-healing, we need time for both. Time to say, okay, I'm observing, I'm analyzing, I'm distinguishing, and I'm going to create a call to action to create balance within myself. And oh, I asked a question. And then the other aspect, to receive, I asked a question, I'm receiving information now. I'm feeling the information. I'm I'm floating in this inner deeper space. And the more I float, the more I go deeper. And the more there's a sense of semi-disorganization, but it's a new organization, but it's deep within. And maybe I'm journaling, and maybe I'm painting, and maybe I'm dancing. Um, and then we come back to the surface, and then we're executing and analyzing and identifying and moving forward in the outer world. And earlier, we were talking about how do we find that right balance in
Mhm.
a world where we're like, go, 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 produce, produce, produce. Obviously, you got to move forward. So yeah, you can go inside, but not too long. And when we're inside, and it's like, God, we're finally touching these pieces of us, finally accessing this thing that's been like in this vault or hiding, or actually maybe had left our sphere, but now we're reaccessing it, and it's like this blissful or really tender and painful but necessary experience of reconnecting with a deeper part. But it's like we need both. How do we find the balance?
Mhm. Is it a question for me or for
It
like
is. I mean, it's a
uh-huh.
question you had for yourself. When I ask it to you, what comes
Mhm.
up?
Yeah, completely. Um yeah. Um I think that one of the answer is like in the inversion of the logic of this world, that we first and foremost operate from like in the other world, and we can allow ourselves to go inside when we have time and space, or like as a self-care practice. I would reverse it and acknowledge that we are first vibrational being, and that the feminine, sensitive, subtle part of ourselves is the part of us that is connected to the whole, connected to the universe, connected to our soul. And it's from that place that we get insights, that we know who we are, that we know what like lights our hearts up, and from that place of feeling we can get clarity about who we are, and then using our masculine energy to give it a shape, to manifest it in the world. But we have to first be in contact with our essence, in order to be this authentic self that we've been talking about in the intro. Um, so yeah, it's my understanding of it, and then finding the balance between both is a very delicate one, delicate balance, and it's all about um, listening. Um, yeah, and there's some moment in our life where, for example, if we take the cycle of nature and the seasons, there's some seasons that are about action, about being in the outer world, which would be more spring and summer, which are like growing season. And then fall and winter are more about like coming back to ourselves, coming back inside, being in our home and rest, having rest. Um, so we are synchronized with those natural cycle, but we also have our inner cycles. Um, so we have to listen how we move with nature and what are our inner movements as well. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it totally does.
Mm.
And it it takes time to check in, to be observant and recognize our own inner rhythms.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes time, once we've seen these rhythms, to accept them
Mm-hmm.
and include them naturally, more with less resistance. You know, like sometimes we're really attached. We should have a lot of energy, be able to do all these things and go out, and but it's not there. But
Mm-hmm.
we push through anyway. Some people push through anyway and they go to that thing. I'm more and more of an introvert, so it's very easy. It's becoming really easy for me to say, nah, no, no, thank you. but yeah, pushing through. There was something else that you said. It's gone. I should have written it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you brought up an important part of it, which is our current like age, our current historic age, which is pretty much unbalanced and that have been operating from a masculine mode for centuries. So there's this deep need to coming back to our like spiritual nature and to our feminine energy. And in that searching for balance, for example, in my own journey, in the past few months, even years, I had this need to uh, deep coming back to my feminine and really stop. And I've been sick, which forced me to stop and to listen to my need, listen to like the rhythm that was present. So when we go out of balance, there's sometimes a need to explore the other polarity and then coming back to that center.
Yeah.
So, and it's been my journey, but I know it is a collective journey as well, and a lot of people have those like that kind of experience right now where they have to really stop and heal the wounded feminine within.
Whether you're a man or a woman, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that deep feminine has been so pushed down. You know, so it is
Mm-hmm.
really, really deep, and it's got a lot of shadow. We have shame, we have guilt, we have all of these emotions, all these charge. Who's responsible? We have so much to clean up on that level that it's like not only our world is been out of balance, but we really need to talk to ourselves and give ourselves the permission to pass through our internal dialogue of the masculine dominant go execute. We have to really learn to have a conversation with it, see when it is present within us, and give it back its place, create a boundary where it's actually more of a conversation than it's an automatic. So we need to create that boundary, have that conversation, and give ourselves the permission to go deeper in the feminine so that we're balanced. And like you said, not just balance, like to really truly be balanced, we might need way more internal processes, slowing down, going within. Like there's that it's the only way we can truly move on to the next level of consciousness, is that if each of us go and do that little cleanup, you know, and or for each of us to go and see, well, what am I made of? And I need to go and be really curious about this. And so it's like, for me, to be like my present method would be, but that will change. But if I was to give a diagnostic, like, prescription to the planet, it'd be like, each and every one of you, be as female as you can be, even if it's 100% for a little moment, more and more moments, and allow the masculine to be there to make sure that you have shelter, healthy relationships, food on the table, and that your needs are met physically as a human. Use your masculine to take care of your vehicle, and everything else, your vehicle as in your emotional, your human body, your human experience, um, and do the everything else you can is rest, inhale, connect with nature, open your heart, heal, take in some light. The sun is charging us with amazing information these days. Like, just do what you can to be. Do what you need to do so that you're safe and happy and uplifting. But the rest of the time, be as much as you can. So that's my personal prescription, but maybe I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, completely. We have first to heal ourselves if we want to be of service, right? And
Exactly.
what we have to give it what we give first to ourselves. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow, I'm so glad we're starting this, Anouk, to be able to share our conversations and connect with more people who are on this journey and process.
Yeah, it makes me think about that reflection I had in the past few days, about like balancing feminine and masculine energy, and how like I allowed myself to connect deeply with my feminine energy, and now I'm like, oh, and if it would be a way to hide in a way, because I made this healing work, and I made this um like work of connecting with myself and being clear about who I am and what I want to offer in this world. And now um it feels like if connecting with my feminine energy would be a way of not um like stepping out in the world and showing up. Um
Uh-huh. Yeah.
so yeah.
I feel busted right now. I feel like you just busted me. Yes, I have been hiding.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So it's tricky, and it's like a moment to moment reflection to have, and it's so easy to hide from the world and hide from our very own self. Mm,
Yeah. I think it's one of the beauty of community, of creating a community of people we love and feel safe with. They can offer that mirror, you know?
mhm,
Yeah. And you're like, hey, don't you say you have a lot of big things you want to accomplish? It seems like where are you acting on them? Or, hey, buddy,
mhm,
you've been working way too hard. I think you really need to like have a day to yourself. I love you, but like, come
mhm,
on.
mm,
Mm. Sometimes we don't see ourselves.
mm. Yeah, yeah, and the masculine, it may have been toxic in the past few centuries, and there's a healing we have to have in order to be balanced again. And at the same time, it's like very much necessary. So whenever we like hold something dear to our hearts, it's also our responsibility to act on it and become it in the matter. It's why we came on this planet. So, and that's scary. That's scary to really show up and like, yeah, show to the world who we really are. So there's courage that we need to get from our masculine part as well.
Yeah. 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 That energy of pushing through.
Mm-hmm. Pushing through and at the same time being very respectful of our own rhythms. And so when, yeah, like finding that balance is a moment to moment fine listening, and also like honesty, because as I said, maybe we are overacting in order to show the world our worthiness, and on
Mm-hmm.
the other hand, like being in our feminine can be a way to hide and not like allow ourselves to shine. So
Uh-huh.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah. And that balance can be different from moment to moment, season to season, day to day.
mhm,
And each of us need to find our own balance with our own lifestyle. Sometimes it means putting stuff, dates, in our agenda.
mhm,
Um, you know, we need the masculine to create space for the feminine. Every Saturday from 9 to 11, I meditate and I do yoga, for example, right?
mhm,
Every morning I will journal. That's where those two meet.
mhm. Yeah, create structures that allow us to like dive deep in our feminine, and
Yeah,
also like keeping flexibility so
yeah,
we can navigate softly and without too much like yeah, without a too rigid structure.
right. Um, it's making me think about containers and like if you give a framework. For me, I've always seen, I feel so like if you give me a framework, clear parameters of the container of which I'm in. Oh, now that that's clear, within those limits, I am free. Within those limits, I can do whatever. But if there's no limit, I'm always maybe checking. So if I create a container, this is when I am allowed to go deep.
Mm-hmm.
Is the moment. and
Mm-hmm.
and and so maybe at another moment I'm feeling like, oh, I need to go deep into this thing, but should I not? If you have the time, go for it, but maybe you don't have the time, but you can report it to that time you gave yourself. you know like we have all these little doubts within us that sometimes comes from the uncertainty because we didn't create the structure with clear boundaries. Like, this is the time for the part of me that is deep. This is the time for the part of me that is in action. This is the time for the part of me that is in I need to do research, emails, meditation, surrendering to a higher force, connecting to somebody who needs help. Whatever. There's all these aspects of us that need to be alive. And I think it's okay to create spaces for them, to let them be free. But also sometimes we have a lifestyle that it requires rigidity. And that's okay too for certain things. But everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Everybody's different and there's life circumstances. So maybe I gave me that time to do whatever, but then there's this huge emotional process that just like arise, and it can be totally okay to just like letting the structure aside and give ourselves permission also to go with the flow.
Totally, totally. And yeah, that's what I meant by if you have the time, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, 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 totally. Creating times where you're allowed to go deep and creating permission slips to be with what is when it shows up, if you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's tricky as an entrepreneur, as a entrepreneur, as a somebody who's trying to run a business. I have no boss. I am the sole maker of my own schedule, and I am the sole judge of if I've done enough or not, right? So that's part of the uncertainty that I hear you talk about. The way I it resonates with me in my life. It's like, well, today I had this to-do list of very important things to do for my website, or this and that and the other, but all of a sudden I am so in touch with my inner, the part of me that thinks I'm a fraud. And for a moment, I am so scared, and I think what I'm doing is shit. And well, that actually is the prime moment to be with it and bust my limiting beliefs and pierce through and have my practice and calling my higher support and calling my lower support, breathe, be present, process, right? That's the prime moment to be in it. oh, fuck, no, I'm in a meeting with 3 other people. It might not be the right moment, but
Mhm.
I can take a minute. Sorry, guys, I'm going through something. Give me a couple minutes. I'll be right back. Go inside, breathe in, take inventory of what's there to yourself, and I'll come back to you tonight with my journal or whatever,
Mhm.
and then do some centering, create an intention that whatever you're going through is 100% okay, but right now you know you're going to show up anyway to your meeting with the other people. Yeah, so it's engaging in a conversation with ourselves, like really honoring that there's a part of us that can hold all of the pieces that we are made of, and to enter a deeper conversation as opposed to let ourselves flow freely from one state to another and being, like a wave in an ocean, but without truly holding a longer stream of consciousness space, like,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, and giving ourselves direction that can evolve and that is non-linear, but still a direction.
Yeah, like a good inner parent.
Mhm.
Hey, I saw your need there. You have a need. Yeah, I'm gonna educate you from the fact that you have a need, honey baby. And so let's go deeper. What is it? Oh, you need a bit this and that and the other. Okay, okay, okay. Well, let's make sure you get that next time. Cool, 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 cool.
Mhm.
Right? And then our little inner self who was a little confused, like, oh, okay, I'm not on my own. I got
Mhm.
okay, there's a part of me supporting me. And those who have healthy parents as a child often have those really well integrated, and those who didn't have healthy parents as a child need to develop it now as adults, and that's part of the self-healing, right? Creating the good inner parent who allows you to see you have a need, that it's an important need, that you have total right to take care of it. You might want to be smart about your strategies. You might want to get smarter about your strategies about how to answer your need. But as a good parent, I'm following you, a good inner parent. Oh, and me as an inner child, I feel so held and seen. And I don't have to have a temper tantrum to be heard because I have a healthy relationship with my inner parent. Yay.
Yeah, completely. Mm, mm. It feels to me like it could be a whole other conversation, and we will surely have one or two or three about it. Uh-huh.
I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you feel like it's time for us to say thank you so much for this awesome introduction?
I feel complete.
Cool. Me too. I'm
Excellent.
very excited about this conversation. I feel like people can really get a good sense of what we're about through this.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
hope you liked it, guys and girls and
Yeah,
everyone in
totally.
between.
It's a good overview. It's an overview and at the same times a little glimpse of who we are, right? We're way more complex, and yeah, there's more good stuff to come, but surely a good appetizer.
Yum, yum, yum.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Elijah, for your time and wisdom.
Same to you, Anouk.
And I
I
look
love you.
Hmm. I love you too. And I look forward to connect with you again and share what our hearts are eager to share with this world. Mm,
Same here.
mm.
You
Okay,
guys
bye
have
bye.
talk to you later, guys. Hey, wasn't that interesting? What did you think? We certainly hope that something opened up for you and that you know and love yourself even more.
We surely want to witness your insights and transformation, so please share with us what you got out of it. You'll find our social media links in the description.
Stay tuned for the next alchemical conversation.
Take care, beautiful star being.